What is smart bidding exploration in Google Ads? Google recently announced this new feature, and it's designed to help advertisers capture additional valuable traffic without changing your keywords. It's moving into open beta in May 2025, so this will soon be available in your Google Ads account if it's not already. In this video, I'm going to share everything we know about smart bidding exploration so far, including a practical guide to understanding whether or not this is relevant for you and how to potentially use this new feature. I'm Jill Saskin-Gales, a Google Ads coach, the founder of the Inside Google Ads course, podcast, and book, and an ex-Googler who actually spoke to the product team that developed smart bidding exploration. I've linked a blog post below this video, which I will be continuously updating as we learn more about smart bidding exploration, so you might want to check that out next. Okay, first, what is smart bidding exploration? According to Google, this is an AI-powered feature designed to identify new sources of valuable traffic to help you maximize performance for search campaigns using smart bidding. Translation to plain English: when you use this feature, you give Google permission to advertise on searches you weren't advertising on previously in exchange for a potentially lower ROAS. Now, let's get this out of the way right now. Smart bidding exploration does not impact your targeting. It doesn't change your keywords. It doesn't turn on anything keywordless. That's AI Max, okay? Smart bidding exploration just affects your bidding. So by changing your bidding, by lowering your potential ROAS a little bit, that gives Google permission to start advertising on queries that do match your targeting, but you weren't advertising on previously because Google did not think it would be profitable to do so. Now, when using smart bidding exploration, there's of course this inherent trade-off to consider. You can get more total profit because you're allowed to explore now all these other opportunities you weren't previously, but it's going to be at lower profitability, right? So advertising on more searches, which means more impressions and more volume and potentially more revenue, but at a lower ROAS for that incremental revenue. So it's really this reach versus efficiency trade-off, which is the core trade-off we always think about in Google Ads. Let me share a practical example with numbers so you can understand how smart bidding exploration really works. Let's say you're running a search campaign, it uses Target ROAS, your target is 300%, meaning a ROAS of 3, and you're achieving those results. So that means for every dollar you spend in this campaign, you get $3 back in revenue. Let's say in a given month, you spent $1,000, you got $3,000 in revenue, that's a ROAS of 3, and your net profit is $2,000, right? That $3,000 revenue minus $1,000 in ad spend. Now, let's say you enable smart bidding exploration at 10%. We'll come back to that 10% in a sec. That means that your ROAS could decrease by up to 10%. So you could go from a ROAS of 3 to a ROAS of 2.7. However, because Google is now exploring new traffic, your spend and revenue could increase, leading to something like, for example, maybe you now spend $1,500 instead of $1,000. That would mean that your revenue is now $4,050 instead of just $3,000. So your new net profit, revenue minus ad spend, is $2,550. In this scenario, you have a slightly lower ROAS now, 2.7 instead of 3, but your total net profit has increased by $550. That incrementality may be worth it to you, it may not be worth it to you, but that's what smart bidding exploration is designed to, well, explore. Now, it's worth noting that this has been a Google Rep sales narrative for years, right? You can get more by accepting slightly less. Now there's this feature that's built into Google Ads to help you put that theory into practice in your campaigns. Smart bidding exploration. Okay, so why does this feature even exist? Why wouldn't you just lower your TROAS by 10% instead of using smart bidding exploration? Because that will change your bids, right? Here's what Google says. They say that the primary difference between lowering your target ROAS or just using smart bidding exploration is that when you lower your target ROAS, this adjusts your bids across all queries you're currently reaching. Smart bidding exploration, however, is intended to only adjust bids for queries you're not currently reaching. So it kind of cordons off what the campaign's already doing, and the campaign keeps doing that, and then SBE kind of sits on the side. The idea is to find new opportunities without altering the behavior of your already established, successful search terms. Now, I'll admit, I only find this answer like 50% satisfying. The search auction is dynamic. New queries emerge constantly, existing ones evolve. So, the goal of smart bidding exploration is to uncover genuinely new opportunities, but the distinction between adjusting bids for new versus existing queries feels super nuanced and subjective. Remember, you're not changing your keywords or your dynamic ad targets. You're not changing your targeting. You're only using your bids as a lever to explore queries that might previously have been deemed too expensive or less likely to convert in exchange for capturing more market share. So feel free to test smart bidding exploration, but you might be just as well off setting up an experiment with a slightly lower TROAS. All right, if you're still watching, then you're the kind of person who likes to know all the details, so I'm going to give them to you. Smart bidding exploration is for search only. It only works with target ROAS bidding. It allows you to set a ROAS flexibility of 10 to 30%, meaning you can choose how far your target ROAS can potentially decrease in order to reach new traffic. For example, if your TROAS is 500% and you choose 10% ROAS flexibility, that does not give you a 490% TROAS. It gives you a 450% TROAS because that's 10% lower than 500. As always, remember a target ROAS is just a target and not a guarantee of actual ROAS results. Smart bidding exploration is compatible with portfolio bidding, TROAS portfolio bidding. It's compatible with drafts and experiments. So you could run this exploration as an experiment. That feels like overkill. The search terms generated via smart bidding exploration will appear in your search terms report. They won't be distinguished or labeled separately, though, from the regular traffic you would have gotten anyway. However, reporting for smart bidding exploration will be provided via search category reporting. Honestly, this piece is a little disappointing because Performance Max campaigns used to have search category reporting, and now in PMax, we get full search term reports. So PMax now has search term reporting, but smart bidding exploration, which lives in a search campaign, does not. It has search category reporting. So it's going to have limited metrics there as well. All right, so now the $1,000,000 question, or maybe for you, it's the $1,000 question. Is smart bidding exploration right for you? In my opinion, most Google Ads advertisers should not use smart bidding exploration. Full stop. This feature only makes sense for advertisers who have maxed out the current search opportunity and need to find new pockets of growth. For now, here's my guidance to help you figure out if it's worth testing smart bidding exploration. If you run search campaigns, use target ROAS, have 0% search lost IS due to budget, and your quality score is generally 6 or higher for most of your keywords, and you have more budget to spend, then smart bidding exploration could be a valuable tool to help you responsibly increase bids on those just out of reach queries. As with any Google Ads feature in beta, proceed with caution, give the system sufficient time to test, and see if this unlocks new opportunities for you. Again, this is a brand new feature right now, so we are all still going to figure out if this is worthwhile, if the reality of smart bidding exploration fits the theoretical that's been shared with us. So definitely check out the blog post linked below because I will be updating that as we learn more about smart bidding exploration. And if you want to make sure you're staying up to date with all the latest Google Ads strategies, tips, and tricks, be sure to follow my podcast, Inside Google Ads, with new episodes every Thursday.